Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a tragic discovery in Victoria highlights the importance of mental health support, where to find help. Plus, fire shuts down Victoria's recycling center, the simple cause that could happen anywhere. And Victoria County crews face new delays after weekend vandalism. What officials want you to know.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Get ready for a big change in the weather. The rain is on its way. Look at that. On in West Texas, we have fairly light rain. The really heavy stuff begins somewhere in New Mexico. That'll be visiting us as soon as tomorrow night. So you know where your rain gear is. We'll be looking for it and have more details for you coming up in a moment.
Plus, a major blow to Texas Republicans, a federal court ruling that could change everything. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. Victoria police detectives say a 40-year-old man found Tuesday likely died by suicide. A passerby found him in a wooded area just off the hike and bike trail near the 3400 block of East Airline Road. Family confirms the man was Ramon Rodriguez. They describe him as a loving, funny father, brother, uncle, son, and great uncle. Service arrangements are being finalized with Angel Lucy Funeral Home. And if you or someone you know is struggling, help is available 24/7. You can call the local crisis hotline at 877-723-3422 or reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988 or chatting at 988lifeline.org. A fire broke out at the City of Victoria's recycling center today. Fire crews responded quickly and were able to contain the flames, and no injuries were reported. The facility will remain closed while teams assess the damage and begin cleanup. The city says smoke may also linger nearby, but recycling pickup for customers will continue as scheduled. Early findings show the fire started when combustible materials were placed in a recycling container. City officials are reminding residents to follow recycling guidelines and avoid putting flammable or hazardous items in their bins. County officials say several pieces of equipment were vandalized in Precinct 1 over the weekend. They say it's more than just damage. Repairs come out of taxpayer dollars, and it slows down important projects that crews are trying to complete safely and on time. The county says it takes pride in serving the community, and incidents like this affect everyone. If you noticed anything suspicious or have information that could help, you're asked to call the Victoria County Sheriff's Office at 361-575-0651. And if you see news happening, give our newsroom a call at 361-576-0026 or send us an email to staff@crossroadstoday.com. Well, let's get a first check of our weather with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. And Mac, you're saying that this hot, sunny weather is going to be over rather shortly.
Yes, I want to know if you have a kayak there, Shawna, because
wanted one though. Might have to put it on my Christmas
it's a good time to get
list,
one today. We may be dealing with significant rainfall and potential flooding around here in the next 5 to 7 days. Here we see how you see how the winds are going this way now. That is a definite sign that our pattern has changed. High pressure has moved away. Very deep storm, the one that caused all the rain and snow out west, is chugging down I-10, and it will be visiting us as soon as tomorrow. Now tonight the rain moves into West Texas. Tomorrow it moves into the crossroads, and then it sort of stays. So we're going to be dealing with good solid, I'm going 2 to 4 inches of rain over the next 7 days. So we'll talk more about it coming up in just a moment. Back to you, Shawna.
Victoria ISD hosted its State of the District, highlighting the achievements made by first-year Superintendent Sheila Collazo. One of the achievements she has contributed to is a change in academic ratings across all campuses and increasing the number of dual credit hours available to students. She says parents and students will no longer have to pay for dual credit classes because of bonuses received by the district. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley will have more on Collazo's passion for student success coming up on 25 News Now at 6. Now to a setback for President Trump's effort to redraw the congressional map of Texas, which would give Republicans an advantage in next year's midterm elections. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has details on an appeals court striking down the new map, claiming racial profiling.
This morning, a major blow to President Trump's attempt to pick up more Republican seats in the House of Representatives. A new congressional map in Texas, which would likely flip 5 congressional seats from Democrat to Republican, has been blocked from being used in next year's elections. At the center of the case is whether the creation of the new map was driven by politics or race. The law allows maps to be drawn for partisan reasons, but not for racial reasons. And yesterday, a panel of 3 federal judges has sided with civil rights groups who challenged the map. Judge Jeffrey Brown, a Trump appointee, writing, quote, substantial evidence shows that Texas racially gerrymandered the 2025 map. That evidence includes a letter from the Department of Justice in Washington directing Texas to redraw its maps to eradicate 4 majority non-white districts. Judge Brown writing, quote, the governor explicitly directed the legislature to draw a new U.S. House map to resolve DOJ's concerns. In other words, the governor explicitly directed the legislature to redistrict based on race.
These districts are going to show that Hispanics and blacks, as well as others, are voting for Republican, and Republican is their candidate of choice.
Governor Greg Abbott says he'll appeal to the Supreme Court, claiming the ruling undermines the authority the U.S. Constitution assigns to the Texas legislature. Earlier this month, Governor Gavin Newsom led a campaign to change California's congressional map to offset the expected losses in Texas. Newsom responding to the Texas ruling, saying Trump and Greg Abbott played with fire, got burned, and democracy won.
More recently, President Trump has tried unsuccessfully to get Indiana to redraw its map. As for what happens next, the Supreme Court could take up the Texas case as part of its emergency docket. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Governor Abbott has designated one of the nation's largest Muslim advocacy groups as a terrorist organization. Tuesday, Abbott said the Council on American Islamic Relations, known as CAIR, has direct ties to Hamas, which the U.S. has designated as a terrorist group. The move bans them from buying land in Texas and gives the state attorney general power to sue and shut them down. CAIR called Abbott's declaration defamatory and said Abbott has no authority to make such a designation. In his declaration, the governor also designated the Muslim Brotherhood as a terror organization. A Harris County man is headed to federal prison after admitting he did not report or pay millions in employment taxes. Joseph Joe Limon pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 36 months in prison plus 3 years of supervised release. He also has to pay about $8.7 million in restitution. Prosecutors say Limon ran a labor staffing company in the Houston area and skipped filing tax returns for years. When the IRS started pursuing the debt, they say he opened a new company under a relative's name and then tried to claim identity theft. Here are some of the top headlines in the Cuero Record. Sparks from a tractor shredder led to 2 acres burning, also leading to the extension of a county burn ban. Plus, the Cuero ISD Education Foundation hosted another unforgettable concert for classrooms. To read these stories and more, visit DeWittCountyToday.com. Organizers are gearing up for the 35th annual Feast of Sharing Holiday Dinner. It is set for Wednesday, December 17th from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Victoria Community Center. The dinner is free and open to the public, bringing neighbors together for a night of food and holiday community. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. Good news about lung cancer rates, but thousands of lives could still be saved. The simple screening most people skip. Plus, country's biggest stars get ready for tonight's CMA show, the opening moment that will get everyone on their feet.
In Edna, one woman is redefining what it means to grow success from the ground up.
You know, getting to wake up with your best friend in the morning and being able to spend time with them on the farm and doing what we love to do, it's been a very big blessing.
Her story is rooted in hard work, heart, and a little South Texas grit. Don't miss Growing Success with Shawna Currie, a 25 News Now Extra, Thursday night at 10.
Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S., killing more people each year than colon, breast, and prostate cancers combined. A new study shows many adults who qualify for a life-saving screening are skipping it. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither looks at the data and what might be keeping people from this test.
First, some good news. The number of new lung cancer cases and deaths continues to go down, in part from fewer people smoking. But the bad news, lung cancer is still the deadliest cancer in the U.S. This year alone, the disease is expected to kill close to 125,000 people, according to estimates from the American Cancer Society.
Screening for lung cancer is an effective tool to prevent cancer death.
Preeti Bandy is lead author of a new study researching how many people who should be getting lung cancer screening are actually getting it. The data estimates that in 2024, only about 1 in 5 U.S. adults eligible for lung cancer screening were screened. The researchers found that roughly 62,000 lives could have been saved over 5 years if all who were eligible got the screening.
That is a sobering finding that the lack of uptake is translating into a real missed opportunity, really, again, in terms of the lives that can be saved.
Bandy says there are several barriers that may be stopping some from getting this screening, including awareness that lung cancer screening exists, access to screenings, especially in rural parts of the country, and the lack of no-cost health insurance coverage for this care.
Talk to your doctor if you've ever smoked and you're between 50 and 80 years.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The study's lead author says lung cancer screening is not invasive. Most health organizations recommend a yearly low-dose CT scan. During the scan, you lie on a table while a machine takes detailed images of your lungs using a small amount of radiation. It only takes a few minutes and is not painful. We're in peak season for RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus. It is very contagious and especially risky for babies under 2. Doctors say it spreads through droplets or direct contact, with symptoms like runny nose, cough, fever, and in severe cases, trouble breathing. To protect little ones, wash hands often, keep children away from anyone who is sick, and clean high-touch surfaces. Babies can also get a one-time RSV antibody shot, which cuts the risk of serious illness by about 70% during peak season, which is October through March. Most children recover at home, but parents should seek medical care if symptoms get worse. A new study suggests typical levels of fluoride in drinking water do not harm brain function and may even help. Researchers looked at decades of test scores from nearly 27,000 Americans and found students with normal childhood exposure scored higher than those with none. The study shows no signs of cognitive decline later in life and challenges previous claims that linked fluoride to lower IQ, claims based on extremely high exposure, far above federal limits. Even so, Utah and Florida recently became the first states to ban fluoride in community water. Here are some of the top headlines in this week's Port Lavaca Wave. After Port Lavaca and Point Comfort signed off on creating new tax increment revenue zones, Calhoun County commissioners got a closer look at the idea as well. Plus, the Port Lavaca City Council tabled a new ordinance on junk vehicles after hearing from local auto shop owners. To read these stories and more, go to portlavacawave.com. Well, the CMA Awards are just a couple hours away, and for the past few days, the show's host, Lainey Wilson, and the performers have been putting in long hours rehearsing for country music's biggest night. On the red carpets, Ryan Cheverini has more from Nashville.
Ella Langley, Chris Stapleton, Tucker Wetmore, Riley Green, and Stephen Wilson Jr. are just a few of the artists who have been busy rehearsing this week for tonight's big show.
We're just going to get up there and let it rip. That's how we're going to play the song tonight. Just kind of be live and loose with it. That's how the approach we always kind of take.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous. We just did rehearsal, so we ran through the song a couple of times up there on stage, and I'm feeling a lot better after rehearsal. But I'm sure I'll be a little nervous when showtime comes.
This year I'm performing Worst Way on the CMA stage, and it's such a cool thing to get to come to these awards, but to be able to actually perform and play a song of mine that was a big hit in the last year is going to be a really cool moment.
I think specifically this last year, I've got a year and a half of headline shows under my belt, and I definitely feel a little more confident in the artist that I am and my craft and what we've been working so hard on. And we've just been out there singing to these fans for so long that getting to be up here on the stage, on the CMA stage, it's a step up, and it's still a little nerve-wracking, but it's so exciting.
Speaking of exciting, Old Dominion is planning a first for this year's CMA Awards.
We are performing a medley of a handful of our hits, so just to kind of celebrate our entire career, really. So it's going to be fun. It kind of covers our whole catalog as much as we can in like 5 songs.
Tonight's host, Lainey Wilson, has something special planned for the start of the show.
The opening monologue of the show is honestly just me being a fan of music, me being a fan of this incredible genre, and celebrating other artists. And I don't want to say too much because I think it's going to be one of those moments that gets everybody up on their feet and really sets the tone for the whole night.
And Lainey is among elite company. She joins Dolly Parton and Reba McEntire as the only women to ever solo host the CMAs. And of course, you can watch it right here on ABC at 8/7 Central. From Music City, I'm Ryan Cheverini on the red carpet.
The CMA Awards are right here on KAVU 25 tonight, starting at 7 o'clock. And to get more news, weather, and sports, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com. Well, enjoy the record warm temperatures now because the stage is set for what could be a cold and snowy December, at least in some parts of the United States. A weakened polar vortex will be responsible for the dramatic weather pattern change, pushing frigid Arctic air south. It could be one of the earliest significant polar vortex disruptions ever recorded. Scientists say it's still too difficult to predict exactly where the polar vortex will deliver its icy blast. But before we have to worry about icy or cold weather, we have to get through the rain, right, Mac?
That is correct, and it's on its way, folks, so we've got to get ready for a rather wet period as winter has finally arrived in Texas. We're looking at 80 degrees right about now. Fairly strong sea breeze today made it fairly warm, so we're probably topping out at about 85, 86 for today. It just hasn't come in just right now, but we will be looking at fairly mild weather. And this is not a cold system that's coming at us from the west coast, but it is a wet one, and we'll talk about that coming up after this. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, everything will be changing as soon as tomorrow as arrival of winter is for almost certain now. We're looking at, of course, the southerly winds that were blowing today, but while you can see the low-level stuff moving to the northwest, all of a sudden you see all this cloud deck moving to the northeast. So basically one's going this way, the other one's going across it, and that is the sign that our pressures have dropped. Now clouds are developing, light rain is beginning to show up in the hill country and far west Texas, but really the main event is still in New Mexico where the heavier shower activity is occurring. When you see a big dip like this, that is stormy weather, all right? High pressure is usually a big hill like that, and you can see how classically it shows up right about here. Now that is already moving into New Mexico. Obviously West Texas will be next, and then our area as well. And watch what happens if you go upstream. We've got a little bit of clearing there, but not a lot. And then there's another storm already forming out in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to follow this one. So as you can see, western states now getting quite a bit of shower activity, snow activity generally above 6,000 feet. And even in far west Texas, we're beginning to pick up a little bit of rain. Looks like rain in the Amarillo area all the way through the Big Bend and even as far south as Del Rio. So this is where the heaviest activity is, just on the other side of the New Mexico state line, and that's where the stormy weather is occurring, and all that's moving in our direction. Look at this. Already much of Texas from Dallas to Del Rio is under a flood watch because of the potential for significant rainfall. And it hadn't even started raining yet, so you get the idea. It includes Bexar County, and we're not really just in it yet, but there's time for this to change. Now overnight tonight, not particularly cold, getting down to about 68, 70 degrees as a low temperature. Tomorrow still on the warm and windy side, but you're going to see more and more cloud cover. Most of the rain will be arriving by tomorrow night, so about sundown. We'll get up to about an 83 today. There you see how excessive rainfall potential is for much of East Texas, and of course the heaviest stuff, where could that be? It would be in the hill country and in far west Texas. So that's where, you know, Del Rio to Sonora, right about there, they could see some significant rainfall, and that is what we call a moderate chance of excessive rainfall, which would be flooding problem. So that is a flooding problem right there. Good chance of getting significant rain here, and we're already included in that as well. Let's take a look at what else is going on. Okay, this is the future tracker. This is going forward about 48 hours. Now, you see we've got nothing here right about now. We go forward and you see Thursday morning. What's happening? West Texas, Dallas to Del Rio. And then it goes to the northeast, and then Thursday, you can see how that shower activity starts getting real close to the I-35 corridor all the way down to Laredo. And then that's Thursday night. Friday, boom, that's you and me right there. And that would be Friday morning sunrise when that bulk of that activity goes through. And then we have a little bit of rain shower activity left over afterwards because we do have a second system coming in behind that. So we're looking at temperatures tomorrow still on the warm 80s, and then on in Port Lavaca and Currie you're getting up to about 84. But here we go. We start with the rain on Thursday night through most of the days Friday and Saturday. Already have up our weather alerts because it's probably going to rain through Sunday and Monday. A secondary system comes in, and then finally hopefully a little clearing, but it should be cooler by the time we get to Thanksgiving. Stay tuned, folks. You got to watch the weather for travel for Turkey Week because it's going to be quite active. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads a day on your phone. Shawna, back to you.
Still to come, tariffs are making your holiday wish list more expensive. How smart shoppers are beating the higher costs. Stocks took a positive turn today. The Dow up 47 points, the S&P 500 rose 25 points, and the Nasdaq climbed 131 points. The price of oil dropped $1.26 to $59.41 per barrel. Target's troubles are growing, with the retailer reporting another drop in sales and cutting its full-year profit outlook. It follows news that the company plans to lay off 1,000 corporate workers and has not seen sales growth in about 4 years. Target has also faced customer backlash over its retreat from some diversity initiatives. And after more than a decade at the helm, CEO Brian Cornell is stepping down, with Chief Operating Officer Michael Fidelki set to take over next year. Black Friday is a little more than a week away, and the National Retail Federation forecasts the first $1 trillion holiday season ahead. But consumers may not get bang for all of those bucks. Karen Kafa has what consumers need to know about this year's deals and sneaky surprises.
Popular holiday gifts like toys, apparel, and electronics are among the most imported and most impacted by the Trump administration's tariffs.
The uncomfortable reality of it all is that the sort of things that we want this Christmas or in past Christmases is stuff that is no longer produced in the United States.
Russell Hawley, director of shopping content for CNET, says some tech and toy manufacturers have made changes to trim their costs.
There have been a number of manufacturers that have made it clear that they're going to, in order to adjust to tariffs, do things like remove batteries. So the batteries would need to be a separate purchase. The packaging may be different.
Purchasing items brought in before tariffs took effect may help consumers save, but Hawley says do some research, especially with tech, to make sure it's worth it.
We've seen quite an increase in people shopping, refurbished versions of models of things that they are interested in order to get that, kind of extra savings. My biggest recommendation to anybody going that route is to just read the fine details.
David Bieri, associate professor of economics at Virginia Tech, says online shoppers who find big deals need to note where the item ships from.
If you're doing direct imports or have FedEx or DHL or UPS or even the US Postal Service act as your importer, you will have to carry the cost.
The de minimis rule had long kept low-value packages entering the U.S. tariff-free. That exemption ended in August. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
The federal government announced it will not release a full jobs report for October. That's because the government shutdown prevented collection of the household survey data, which is done mostly through phone and in-person visits. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said the data it does have for October will be rolled into November's full report. The 43-day shutdown was the longest in U.S. history. It's created an unprecedented situation for the statistical agencies that collect, analyze, and distribute critical economic data. A new report shows a growing divide in retirement savings among American workers. The analysis from Dayforce reviewed more than 1 million records and found workers across generations, including Gen X and baby boomers, are saving less. Participation in employer retirement plans also ticked down over the past few years, especially for workers earning under $150,000. Higher income workers, though, are contributing more. Researchers say changes like simpler enrollment could help reverse the trend. Taco Bell is launching 3 new fan-created menu items nationwide starting tomorrow. The lineup includes a steak and fries twist on the classic Crunch Wrap, a grilled vegetarian version of the cheesy bean and rice burrito, and a loaded Cantina chicken crispy taco. Fans submitted more than 40,000 ideas, and 3 honorary fan chefs were chosen to bring their creations to Taco Bell locations across the country for a limited time. Well, farmers stripped down stigma with a sizzling calendar. How they're helping save lives after the break.
Tonight, the near unanimous vote. Congress demands release of Epstein files. The bill now heads to President Trump's desk. What will the American people see? Plus, our team off Venezuela, the U.S. military buildup. What is the president planning? World News Tonight with David Muir is the most watched newscast in America.
Some Illinois farmers have been working on a project to raise money for a good cause. A 2026 Boudoir calendar featuring sexy farmers. It's meant to be lighthearted, but the money raised from calendar sales will go toward something very serious, an Illinois farmers' mental health program. The initiative operates a 24/7 confidential helpline for farmers and their families. According to the CDC, farmer suicide rates are some of the highest among any industry in the country and at least twofold higher than the general population.
Yeah, but you show off your farmer's tan. That's the problem.
I mean, if it's helping a good cause, then,
I guess.
you get the animals in on the pictures too. And
hide behind the goats.
Yeah.
That's the best chance.
Put a sheep in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, folks, get ready for the rain. It's coming in tomorrow night, and it looks rather wet for Thursday night and all day Friday. And guess what? All day Saturday, all day Sunday. Why is that? That's because the frontal system basically was going to stall here and sort of wobble around until the second storm comes in on Monday. So back-to-back systems is going to give us about 5 days of almost continuous rain.
You're saying about 2 to 4 inches total through the weekend?
I do believe so, all the way through the weekend.
All right, watch for some local flooding.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you at 6.